Most traders lose money because they simply overcomplicate trading. They use too many indicators, too many signals, and they don't really know how to identify real market structure. What if I told you that trading can be super, super simple, and you really only need three different things to find high probability setups in the market every single week and every single day? In this video, I'm gonna break down my star strategy and how I created this method over the year of trading. Been trading about 7 years full time now, since 2019, 2018, full time using this method, making multiple six figures. I'm gonna show you exactly how I get into my trades. Now, if you are new here, my name is Devin Trader. I trade using pure price action, don't need indicators or anything like that to trade the market. It's simply using patterns and using price action. I find crazy high probability trades in the market, and I trade them every single day, every single week. Now, with this right here, the star strategy, because the mainly method I use or the patterns I look for is a morning star when going for a buy and an evening star when going for a sell. Now, it is very, very much that simple. Now, to make it even more easier for you, you can use this analogy I helped myself when I first got started. Morning star means morning, right? You're going for a buy. The sun is going up. So whenever you see a morning star, you know daytime going up, right? You know you're looking for a buy. Vice versa when it comes to an evening star, right? Evening, the sun is going down. So evening star, when you see that pattern, you're looking for a sell. The evening star when going for a sell, the morning star when going for a buy. Those are the two main things I look for about 95% of every trade I get into. I would say even 100%, because every time I see those patterns, I know I have a high chance of getting into a great trade. Now, when looking at the market, I'm going to go over two different factors, right? When it comes down to the sell as well as to the buy. Now, in the first section, I'm going to break down the method that we use or the equation that we use to get into these trades. Now, the equation is breakout plus pullback plus the pattern. That's going to equal your trade, okay? That's all you're looking for every single time you get into the market. I know it might seem kind of simple, but it really is just that clean, right? Breakout, pullback pattern, you have an entry. If price action breaking below a level, pullback, evening star, right? You're going for a sell. If it's breaking below a level, pullback, evening star, that's how you're getting for a sell. Breaking above a level, pullback, morning star, that's how you're getting in for a buy. Now, first thing is first, the time frame that I use, guys, right? Very custom time frame is the 8 hour. Now, you don't have to use the 8 hour for this strategy, but it's highly recommended, right? The 8 hour is so clean, so clear. You don't even have to go to multiple time frames just yet. You can easily find everything. The breakout, the pullback, the pattern, everything can happen directly on the 8 hour chart. Now, on TradingView, many people use TradingView for their analysis and chart and things like that. So on TradingView, to get the 8 hour, you do have to pay for the membership they offer. Now, it's not that much money, right? When it comes to the whole totality of trading, it's about 14 bucks a month. You would easily make that in any given trade. So the cost of it doesn't even matter. Get the 8 hour time frame with this strategy right here. You really cannot go wrong. I promise you're going to be very profitable. Now, first things first, right, guys? Like I said, we're going to break down the whole core concept of my strategy, the breakout, the pullback, as well as identifying a pattern before we get into our trade. There's no guessing, no clutter, no mess in the market. You're going to easily predict the market by looking for these three easy things, right? Now, when it comes to it, right? First, we always wait for a break of structure. This comes down to the first step, that breakout, right? The break of structure means it's either going to make a higher high in an uptrend or a lower low in a downtrend. And it really is just that simple. The break of structure is always first because it's very important. Remember, trading can only happen one or the other way. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. It's just that simple. So when you're seeing that shift in the market, right, it's breaking below a key level of support resistance. That gives it momentum that it might continue in that same direction because it really is just that simple. So remember, the breakout is always the first thing you want to identify before you get into a trade, right? Because the breakout is going to give you that momentum to have an idea like, oh yeah, if it's breaking below a level, more than likely it's going to keep on going down. If it's breaking above a level, more than likely it's going to keep on going up. Now remember, trading is just as simple. I promise you don't need nothing else besides learning how to identify the break of market and the break of structure first before you come to the pattern. But once you even get that first step down pat, it becomes so much more easier to find any kind of trade. Because remember, guys, it's not difficult. You're not trying to solve a rocket scientist equation, right? All you're trying to do is predict up or down. Just that simple, A or B, up or down. So keep it just that simple. Whenever you're using too many indicators, too many different reasons, and make it that much more harder on yourself to find a great trade. So you really got to make this thing kind of really, really simple where it's easy, clear to read. You can always find clear setups. And remember, the market can only go in one or the other direction. So what do that mean, right? It means it can go in that direction for quite some time. Many traders, especially new traders, they're in the market, they're out of the market. They're in the market, they're out of the market. And that's why you can't be consistent because you're always taking punches at the market every single day. We all know by now the market is way too strong to trade every day. If you trade the market every single day, you're saying to yourself, you see your method 100% of the time in the market, which is impossible. You do not see your strategy every single day, but many traders every day will take a poke at the market because a lot of the time they're makeshifting some reason to get in. One day they see this, one day they see that. When it comes to being a consistent trader, your strategy has to remain the same. Everything you do remain the same throughout everything until you see a reason why it's not clicking or working. And then you go back to your method, back to the drawing board, and you make a few adjustments, right? But when it comes down to being a successful trader, every trade I take is always the same reason. I'm always looking for that reason. If I don't have that, I don't have a trade. So the same thing when it comes to this breakout. If you do not see the break of a structure first, you do not have a trade. You should not be getting into a trade for just any reason because you feel helpless or hopeless or you feel restless and you don't want to get it. Like you want to enter for whatever kind of reason. You know what I mean? Like don't force yourself to take a trade. If you don't see your strategy or see your equation, breakout, pullback pattern, you walk away. I always say the same way you know how to find an entry, it's also good to know you're not want to take one as well. Because that way you're not forcing yourself on days you don't have nothing. You're in the market for any reason because you feel restless and you want to take a trade. So keep that in your mind, guys, right? If you do not see the steps of your strategy, you do not have an entry. You walk away until you see that happens. And sometimes that setup might take a few days. It could take 1 or 2 days or might happen all in the same day. Who knows? But if you do not see the whole entire criteria, right? Breakout, pullback pattern, do not get into the market. So the breakout is always that first step, right? And we come over here to the chart, guys, right? This right here is the previous level of support and resistance. This is where price went up at, right? And it kind of went right back down, making that level of resistance, right? Until it got broken here, becoming a new support. So right back over here for the future, look how very simple this is. Price action is breaking below this level. When I see a bar break below this level, and then we see even this bar closes below the previous level, that's a breakout. Just that simple. Whenever you see a structured bar, a candlestick close below the level, that's how you identify a breakout. Once the price action bar is below the previous level and price action closes below that level. Once I see the breakout, I'm getting excited. This is when I add things to my watch list, right? Because I know I have a high chance of getting into a trade very soon. So after we see that we have the breakout, what's the next step? We look for the pullback. Now the pullback should go exactly back to the same past level of support and resistance that happened way before. Because everything that happened in the past comes right back to the future. It's always just that simple. Now you're seeing this stuff right here, right, guys? Always remember, if you do not see the breakout first, you do nothing, right? And after we have the breakout, again, we still do nothing. We wait. The market would naturally pull back, right, guys? It's naturally going to pull back to the same level, as I said, that happened before, right? This is the previous level. We come right to the future and we see how it comes right back to that same exact past level of support and resistance. That's that pullback we're talking about, right? So you always got to know that, right? The market would naturally pull back, and this is where most traders mess up because they get in way too early on a breakout versus waiting for the pullback to happen and then getting into the trade, right? So they enter right here when it's already breaking out, and then it pulls back on them and they get stopped out, and that's why they always lose a trade. You got to wait for the pullback and then you want to get in, or excuse me, you want to wait for the pattern, of course, and then you want to kind of get into the trade. So instead, guys, right, we wait for price action to pull back to a structure level, always that previous level of support and resistance. Now, this is where the pattern comes in at, right? This is where the most important thing of the method you really got to master. And this is where you kind of go back to the drawing board, go back to your notes, go back to your books, and you learn easily how you can find these patterns in the market. Now, it's just as simple, right, guys? Like the evening star and morning star are exact opposite flip mirror images of each other. The evening star when going for a sell, right? And the morning star when going for a buy. For example, this right here is a breakout pullback morning star, right? And you're going for the buy. Over here would be a breakout pullback evening star, and you're going for the sell. Just that simple. And oh, remember, guys, right? When it comes down to the time that I get into my trades, it's always going to be 9 or 5. Meaning that whenever I see the breakout pullback as well with the pattern at 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. in the afternoon, I'm getting into my trade. So it could be 9 in the morning and I see breakout pullback pattern, I'm getting into the trade. Or in this case right here, for example, it was breakout pullback morning star and that happened at 5 p.m. I got into the buy. Over here, for example, was breakout pullback evening star. It happened at 5 p.m. I got into the sell. So again, I'm looking for these structured levels to happen, the breakout pullback pattern to happen either at 9 in the morning, I'm in that trade. If it happens at 5 p.m., I'm also in that trade every single time. Because once I see all three steps, that's my method. I'm going to simply enter that trade. Now, remember, guys, right? The star strategy is super, super easy. You're not looking for a lot of different reasons to get into these trades. Breakout pullback pattern, that's the way you want to enter. So for here, for this matter, right? Price action broke below the level, step one. Pulls back to the level, step two. Makes an evening star pattern, step three. And that happened at 5 o'clock. That's why I got into that sell. And same thing over here. The breakout above the level, step one. The pullback to the same level, step two. The evening star, excuse me, the morning star in this case right here for the buy. And it happened at 5. I got into the buy, just that simple. And you can look at any kind of thing in the market, right? Even looking at my gold trade here in the past, and this was a 4 hour entry. That's why I said, like, if you don't have the 8 hour, you can still use the 4 hour as well. So you're seeing this right here. Price action what? Breaks out, right? That's step one. What happened next? It pulls back. That's step two. What's the third step? The evening star. That's step three. And then you get in this case, it was 9 a.m. Like I said, I'm always looking for all three steps to happen either at 9 in the morning for that London session, New York session, or 5 p.m. for the Asian session, right? So anytime I see that happening, I'm getting into my trade. So in this case right here, this was the previous level. We kind of see price action on gold was going back and forth and back and forth. When this is happening, you're doing nothing, right? Because eventually it's going to break above, pull back, and you're going to go for a buy. Or in this case, it broke below, pull back, evening star. We see our method, we get into that trade, and we easily make the money to the downside. Now we replay this right here, right, guys, on gold. We see what I mean about, like, a lot of times when it comes to the trade, guys, you don't have to force yourself to get in and get out. Take a trade like this and you're holding on for a very long time. Like here, right here, right? So 1 second, I'm gonna get a quick erase. We're gonna step by and look at this step by step, right? So we see here everything, right? When I'm seeing all three of them steps. So 1 second, I'm going to replay a little bit more to do a real case scenario to show you guys exactly how I took the trade before. Now look at it, right? This is the breakout bar. Once I see that bar breaking below the level, I'm getting excited. I'm like, oh yeah, we finna see a trade finna happen, or the first step of my method, my criteria have already taken place, right? That's the breakout bar. A clean bar breaks clearly below the level and it closes below that previous level of support and resistance, right? That's step one. We then look for the pullback to the same level, right? That's step two, right? So 1 second, we see the breakout, and then price action eventually makes its way right back. Boom, right back to that same exact past level. That's step two. That's that pullback we're looking for that naturally happens majority of the time. Now, all we need now is a final step. And because we know it's a sell, we know we're looking for an evening star candlestick pattern to complete our entry, right? So in this case right here, this next bar that pops up, it makes an evening star. Now, this entire pattern, that three-figure candlestick pattern you see there, that's an evening star pattern. And the next bar open will be at 9 a.m. Wednesday, April 22nd in this scenario, right? When I took this trade, I saw the breakout, the pullback evening star. I was up in the morning time. It was 9 a.m. Wednesday, April 22nd. I saw this, and this is how I simply got into my trade. I took my sell right after the completion of the evening star, okay? So everything has to be completed. Remember that. The breakout has to be completed. The pullback has to be completed. The evening star has to be completed before you get into the trade. And I always place my stop losses above or below my level, depending on if I'm going for a buy or a sell, of course. In this case right here, I'm going for a sell. So my stop loss will go above the level just like that. That's really always how I place my stop loss when it comes to a trade. That's really all you have to look for when it comes down to the risk management. You want to measure above that level and see exactly how much you're risking versus how much you're going to go for a profit, right? So for me, it very much is just that simple. When I see all three of these steps in this sell scenario, I'm going to go for my trade. Now look at it, right? The next thing that happens, boom, it melts right to the downside. Like I said, you would have entered this trade at 9 in the morning. It could have been 9:30, whatever it may be. Let's replay that one more time so you can exactly see what I mean. This is really how simple, guys. You're going to make thousands. I'm telling you, you're going to make so much money. You go for the sell, right? 1 second. Boom, you're in for the sell, right? And then this is right here is what I mean. Like you're making a crazy amount of money. Now, this is of course is using higher lot size, but this is very much how millionaires are making six figures very much easy. But even with a lower lot size, right? So let's go back and replay it even more, right? And we're going to use even a lower lot size and do the same exact thing, right? So when it comes down to it, boom, you're looking for your sell, right? You get into your cell, just that simple. You're making your money, and I'll watch it, right? The money flows just as simple. You're not overthinking it. You're not watching it. You're not touching it. You're not doing nothing. You're making thousands of dollars. Even at the lower level, you see, you're still capable of making thousands of dollars every single time by not touching it, just walking away, right? You found the breakout, you found the pullback, and even with a small lot size, you're still making 15,000, right? So you're still making high five figures very, very easily by, like I said before, taking your trade and allowing that trade to just keep on going. But as you saw at the higher lot size, you can make over 100K or more very, very quickly, very, very easily by using this method. But just imagine, right? Even with a low lot size, you're making 15,000. You're simply just holding on to that trade. Like I said, once you learn how to find an entry like this and get into a trade, I then teach my clients how to hold on longer. But this is really much what you got to practice every single time. Breakout, pullback pattern. You get into that trade at 9 or 5. And even with a small lot size, you see it here, you took this trade on April 22nd. By April 29th, you would have made 17,000. This is what I always try to say to a lot of my clients, a lot of my students, right? Like, it's way better to make 20K, 17K in 10 days or 5 days or 20 days, whatever it may be, versus every single day nitpicking at the market. This is why so many people lose. Like I said before, why they can't be consistent. One day they're into this trade, next day they're doing this trade. They're making 100 here, then they're losing 50. They're making 200 here, they're losing 75. They're going back and forth. When you trade like this, off a simple method, a simple strategy, and you just hold on. Look how much money you're making from all that time. You're just walking away. You're not doing nothing else. Like nothing is happening here besides that day. After that day, your job is done. Now, all you're doing is simply managing how to hold on to the trade day by day, controlling your emotions and knowing how to see the pullbacks and not closing out because you're scared and things like that or whatever. But once you learn how to get into a trade and execute fully, right? Like see the breakout, see the pullback, see the pattern. Once you can do that, making money becomes so easy because like once you learn how to up your lots and do things like that, that's how you become a millionaire. That's how you make six figures very easy. As you saw, like many people do just that, get in, get out, make six figures, and they're done. But even at the smaller level, you're still making six figures. You can make easy five figures every single trade and make a lot of money by the end of the year. Like this is how simple, God telling you how simple trading really, really is and how I've been trading for so long now. And it doesn't really matter what pair I go to or whatever it may be. I trade everything exactly the same. I trade here on USD CAD, right? Look at this. We see the breakout step one, right? We see the pullback step two. We have the evening star pattern step three. What's the time? It was 5 o'clock. That's why I got into that sell. Like I said before, it really is just that simple. And you can see how the same thing that happened in the past, right? This big downtrend, once it came right back to the same level, a big downtrend happened once again. And in between that, I found my method and I was able to get into a trade. So again, guys, like this is how easily I'm always entering. Look at this right here. All USD. I'm showing you so many different trades and pairs, and it's all the same reason, same everything. You can see my analysis here, right? I had the breakout step one, the pullback step two, the morning star step three, stop loss below the level, right? And then we had a trade here at 5 o'clock. Look how long that trade lasts. This is what I mean by when you finding trades like this, super high probability, and you also have a high chance of just holding on for a very long time and making crazy amount of profit, guys. Like I can't stress enough, this is very much how easy it is. Like using the star strategy, what I made so much money on for across 7 years now. You can, I promise you, like if you're doing it this way, 8 hour time frame, enter these trades at 9 or 5, right? 9 in the morning or 5 p.m. in the afternoon, and simply just wait for a breakout pullback pattern and get into your trade. If you can do that every single time, guys, I promise you, like you are going to master price action and be a very successful trader. So, guys, this right here is my method, my strategy. I made so much money on across over the years. I really hope this right here helps so many guys out. If you have any kind of questions, put them in the comments. But I'll see you next time, guys, right? See you later. Have a good day.